In this video, we're going to look at factorising. Let's have a look at some simple examples first, like 2x plus 10. Okay, you need to find the highest common factor of 2x and 10. The highest common factor is 2. Okay, now 2 times what is 2x? That's x. And then 2 times what is positive 10? It's positive 5. Okay, the next example, the highest common factor of 6a and 12 is 6. Now 6 times what is 6a? That's a. And 6 times what is negative 12? That is negative 2. Now 2 tips here. 1, always check your bracket to see whether you can factorize it again, because your expression needs to be factorized fully. That's why you want to have the highest common factor in front of your bracket. Another tip, it might be a good idea to see whether the lower number goes into the higher number. So like in my last example, I want to see whether 6 goes into 12, because if it does, that's going to be the highest common factor. Okay, if it doesn't, the highest common factor needs to be a little bit smaller. So 4a plus 10, the highest common factor is 2. As you can see, 4 doesn't go into 10 without a remainder, so it can't be the highest common factor. It needs to be something smaller. So in this case, it's 2. Now, 2 times what is 4a? The answer is 2a. And then 2 times what is positive 10? It's positive 5. Okay, another example. 12x take away 16. The highest common factor here is 4. Again, 12 doesn't go into 16, so it must be something smaller. Okay, so it's 4. Now 4 times what is 12x? And that is 3x. And then 4 times what is negative 16? It's negative 4. Okay. Okay, we're going to look at a slightly different set of questions now. Okay, I've got x plus 10x squared, and now as you can see, we have only x. Okay, we don't have any number. I mean, that means 1x, so we don't have any other number, so a number will not be the highest common factor here, but we can see that both terms have x, so x is actually the highest common factor in this case. Okay, so x goes in front of the bracket. Now x times what is x? That is 1. And then x times what is 10x squared? And that is 10x. Okay, and another example, I have numbers in both terms. So I need to check whether I can find a highest common factor, which is other than 1. And it is, okay, the highest common factor of 2 and 6 is 2. Also, notice that both terms have a. Okay, one has a, the other one has a squared. So that means that a is also the common factor here. So the highest common factor of those two terms, 6a squared and then negative 2a, is 2a. So now I open the bracket. Now 2 times what will give me 6? That is 3. And then a times what gives me a squared? And that is a. Okay, now I like to do numbers and letters separately, so I don't get confused and I don't make any mistakes. Then I need to work out the remaining part in my expression. So 2a times what is negative 2a? And that is negative 1. Okay, always remember to look at the symbol in front of your term. The next example, okay, again I have numbers, okay, and letters in both terms. So I think of the number first. What is the highest number that goes into 4 and 18? Notice that 4 doesn't go into 18, so that means the highest common factor needs to be less than 4. Okay, so the highest common factor is 2. Now, both terms have a. Okay, so a is also the common factor here. So 2a is the highest common factor of both those terms. Now, 2 times what is 4? That is 2. And then a times what is a? That's simply 1. So I don't need to add anything here. Then 2 times what is 18? That is 9. And then a times what is a squared? That is a. And one more example. Again, I have numbers and letters in both terms. So let's look at the numbers first. What is the highest common factor of 9 and 24? 9 doesn't go into 24, so that highest common factor must be less than 9. So that is 3. Okay, 3 goes into 9 and 24. Okay, and then again, both my terms have the same letter. Okay, so the common factor, the highest common factor of both those terms is 3x. Now 3 times what is 9? That is 3. And then x times what is x squared? That is x. Okay, and then 3 times what is 24, negative 24? That is negative 8. And then x times what is x? That's simply 1, so I don't have to write anything else here. Okay, I can always double check by trying to expand my answer to see whether I get my my expression. So 3x times 3x is 9x squared, and 3x times negative 8 is negative 24x. So I know I'm correct. Okay, we have a few more examples here. So I've got again numbers and letters involved. Okay, so the highest common factor here will be 5x, because 5 is the highest number that goes into 5 and 15, and x, okay, is the letter in both terms. Then 5x times what is 5x? That is 1. And then 5x times what is 15x squared? That is 3x. Notice that this time I multiplied the numbers and letters together. Okay, so you can do that when you get a little bit more confident, or you can just do numbers first and letters after. Okay, 2a squared plus 6a. So the highest common factor is 2a. Okay, now 2a times what is 2a squared? That is a. And then 2a times what is 6a? That is 3. Okay, then we've got again numbers and letters involved. Now 6 doesn't go into 22 without a remainder, so that means that the highest common factor must be less than 6. Okay, and that number is 2. Both terms have a, so a is the common factor as well. Now 2a times what gives me 6a? That is 3. And then 2a times what is negative 22a squared? That is negative 11a. And the last example, a little bit harder. Again, numbers and letters are involved here. So I need to find the highest common factor of 9 and 15, and that is 3. Okay, 9 doesn't go into 15 without a remainder, so the highest common factor must be less than 9. And now notice both terms have letter y. Now one term has y squared, the other term has y cubed. Remember, y squared means y times y cubed means y times y times y. So you can see that both terms have y squared. Okay, so that is the highest common factor when we're talking about the letter part of my term. Then we need to work out what goes inside the bracket. So now 3y squared times what is 9y squared, and that is 3. Okay, Now 3y squared times what is 15y cubed, and that is 5. And notice there's y left, okay, in that second term, so I have 5y. Okay, it might be a good idea to try to expand it back to see whether we get the expression that we started with. So 3y squared times 3 is 9y squared, and then 3y squared times 5y is 15y cubed. So we know we are correct.